Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Time, Talent, Treasure Radio. I'm your host, Jared Sebesta of Tejas Financial Group, where we build purposeful retirement plans. At Tejas Financial Group, we believe retirement planning is so much more than just preparing financially. Our goal is to help retirees and pre-retirees steward their time, talent, and treasure. We have the tools and proven process to make sure your retirement plan delivers the greatest purpose, impact, and legacy. If you need help building a purposeful retirement plan specific for your life and your retirement, give us a call. Our number is 222-4236. You can request a meeting online at tejasfinancial.com. And if you live in West Central Minnesota, feel free to stop by our office. We are located on 19th Avenue Southwest in Wilmer, building purposeful retirement plans. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Hope you're having a wonderful day so far. If you missed last week's show, Ben Tejas talked about the importance of having an abundant mindset and not letting money kind of grip how we think about money and opening up our hand of generosity. If you missed last week's show, go back, listen to it. We're on iTunes. By the way, a lot of people out there like listening to podcasts. We're easy to find. We're on iTunes. We're on Spotify. We're on Google Podcasts. And you can also find all of our shows logged at our website, tejasfinancial.com. Go back and listen to that show. Ben Tejas joins me on the show here today. And again, that was an interesting concept. We talked about it on our podcast, Retiree Purpose, as well, about, again, just having an abundant mindset where we don't let money kind of grip our life and how we really look at money in general.
Yeah, Jared, I think it's a great picture of how we need to look at stewardship, right? So if you picture yourself holding on to a $100 bill and you're grasping it super tightly, it creates tension. Mm-hmm. It creates angst in your life, and it starts to own you. Whereas if you just release that and hold that bill out and in front of you and say, okay, this doesn't own me now, right? I just happen to have it in my hand. I hold on to it loosely, but I also don't want to push it away. I think sometimes the wealthiest people that are generous also start to have a problem with, am I blessed too much? Or what should I feel too funny with what I've been given? It makes me feel, it also creates kind of some angst in us. So don't push it away. Like, remember that God is blessing you the way He has blessed you for a certain reason. You continue to steward, hold that money loosely. And I think that's a key to, having a life that, you own your life. You don't allow money to own you.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and that's something that we need to talk about more of, especially in this business. Of course, we're all about trying to get people prepared for retirement, but there's a fine line there, and mindset needs to be part of that conversation. Again, go back and listen to last week's show. Really, really good. Make sure you check out our podcast, Retiree Purpose, as well, because we talk about a lot of these concepts on that show as well. All right, Ben, let's talk about last week. All right, so we're reading the news headlines here. The news not great in a lot of ways when it comes to the markets. The government shutdown is coming into play. Where do you want to start with this one?
Well, the noise, right? I mean, you heard that all last week was, the government shut down. And I can't remember how many times that's happened since I've been in this business. I mean, it's been over 20 years, and it seems like every few years they're talking about that. And while I don't want to minimize that, I do want to highlight the fact that it seems that there's nothing new out there. This comes up and it goes, and it comes up and it goes, and there's always something. There's always a external, whether it be a election, or there be an economic downturn, or there be something else. But all of those external things, I think, need to be considered, but not something that we make drastic changes in our situation based on, right? It can sometimes be noise that drives, typically the noisiest stuff drives fear, which can cause people to make bad decisions.
Yeah, so again, the market did not respond well to some of this news, but overall, things are kind of all over the place. It just depends on what you're looking at.
Yeah, it certainly depends on where you're investing this year. This continues to, the technology side of the market, the NASDAQ, for example, has continued to drive returns. Even last week, it was the only of the positive, although almost flat. It was fractionally positive, and the other indexes were negative, whether it be the Dow Jones, the S&P 500 were negative, slightly on the week. So I think that trend played out all year, year to date. And this is why I think it's so important that people have a good handle on where they are investing their money as far as what types of investments, whether they be technology or value or general market. The Dow Jones Industrial Average as of last week, on September 29, 2023, based on the Wall Street Journal, year to date, the Dow Jones was up 1.09%. Now, when you compare and contrast that to where the NASDAQ was, the same time frame, year to date, was up 26.30. And if you go a little further to the S&P 500, which tends to bring in some of those more tech names, as well as the broader market, was up 11.68. So again, we wrote an article on this. It's on our website, but I think it's so important, right, that we have a good handle on where our money is, because again, these markets are ever changing. There's a lot going on. And I think more than anything, people need to not just trust their financial person, but get some understanding of where their money is actually invested.
I think that's a really good point. I think it's a really good exercise to just kind of look into the mirror and say, hey, do I really fully understand where I'm invested and why? Talk about this a little bit more. Again, there's always going to be a headline. It seems like, and like you said, I think that's a really good point you just made, where it's always some external thing that's coming up. We're heading now into fall. The turn of the year will be here in no time. It's election year next year. What is this going to be kind of just the norm now, going through at least the next year or so? How would you answer that?
It has been the norm. It will continue to be the norm of all of these different factors playing a role. And what's changed, I think, Jared, certainly in the last, whether it be 5, 10 years, whatever, is where we're getting the information from, right? Many people, the traditional news outlets, that's changed, right? So people look and find a lot of their data on what the markets are doing or what the economy's doing or whatever based on their social media. And we know that when you dive down a certain trail, whether that be you're getting on YouTube or you start watching videos, and the algorithms kind of reinforce what you're thinking. And I just want to make sure people understand that, because if you're thinking and you are thinking, oh, the markets are bad, and you continue to go on and research negative, you will be continually brought stories that will be continuing to more negative. That's the way the algorithms work. So I just think people need to be aware of that. Yeah. Make sure you're getting your information from a good source, looking at actual facts. I mean, it's really hard today. We know that the media can really spin things a certain way, and there's a lot of baloney out there, quite honestly. But you just have to be very careful on where you're getting that information, and that it is backed up by facts.
Well, I think too, it goes back to our mindset conversation, where you've got to keep yourself in check to make sure that the media you're consuming and news or information you're consuming isn't taking you down a trail in your mind that can, again, go back to what we just talked about, scarcity, and really now we're in the mode of fear. And that's not where we want to be either.
No, I mean, we don't want to make decisions on fear. Certainly not greed either. But with good data, that's where you make good decisions, is good, clear-headed, good data, and you make decisions that way. And that doesn't mean you're always going to get it right. It doesn't mean we're going to get it right. But making sure that you're at least removing those emotions from those decisions is highly, highly important. I can go back and in my career and look at several different market cycles, and every time coming out of that, it's like, yep, as long as we kept steady, as long as we looked long term, if it was long term investments, retirement money, that tends to be the best answer to whatever news headline is next.
We've got about 30 seconds left. Talk about our schedules. We're in October now, end of year coming up here shortly. We're in Q4. What's kind of the lay of the land in our business this quarter?
Well, highly important to do year-end reviews, right? So this is, I think, the best time of year to be in our business, where we're very busy working through a lot of client cases. So you're saying, okay, what we need to do with tax loss harvesting, whether or not we need to do Roth conversions. We're looking at income planning. We're looking at a whole host of things for our clients right now that makes this time of year very, very important to sit down, visit with your financial person, look ahead, get some goals set, and then make sure that your current plan can do the very best job of accomplishing those goals.
Absolutely. Sounds good, Ben. Well, if you want help building a purposeful retirement plan specific for your life and your retirement, now is the time. Give us a call. Our number is 320-222-4236. Request a meeting online at tachesfinancial.com. And if you live in West Central Minnesota, just stop by our office. We're located on 19th Avenue Southwest in Willmar. I'm Jared Sebesta, joining you on this episode of Time, Talent, Treasure Radio. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next time.
Securities offered through Avantax Investment Services. Member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Avantax Advisory Services. Insurance services offered through an Avantax affiliated insurance agency.